What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to On the Floor with Liv and Cor. I'm Cor, that's Liv, and this is the On the Floor with Liv and Cor podcast. And yes, we're still on the ground. We are on the floor recording episode number 8 of the On the Floor with Liv and Cor podcast. Olivia, how are you? How was your weekend?
Weekend was good. I can't believe that it's episode 8. If you turn an 8 a little bit, it's an infinity sign.
I didn't know, but now I do. Wow. Thank you for that fun fact. My weekend was also really good. Thank you for asking.
I did, was going to, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Um, it was good. I had a lot of good couch time, which means I got to watch a lot of great gymnastics this weekend. I also watched a lot of women's basketball. Like, did UConn took down South Carolina, and then Texas beat LSU. It was really good, and I know here to talk about gymnastics, but there's also a floor in basketball, and I'm a big women's sports fan, so I just needed to make that little like moment because it was a moment in my weekend.
Great moment.
Yeah. Um, what bubbles did you bring today? I have to know.
Okay, so I'm a little boring. I'm sorry. It's just
Same,
those
honestly.
times. But I'm going with an old classic, LaCroix berry.
Yeah, LaCroix passion fruit.
Yeah, it's just one of those, it's like grab it, like you go like this on the shelf, you knock it into the cart. It's super easy. So,
Exactly,
all right,
exactly.
cheers. I'm thirsty.
Cheers. Cheers. All right, everyone. So for today's episode, we are not going to do our Twitter bubbles this time because we asked for some fan questions and we're going to get to those at the end of the episode. So make sure to wait for some of those. We got some really good questions this week.
I
Some
did.
really innovative, fun questions about tens was a popular trend in the questions that came in. But
I
before,
do.
yeah, correct. I also have questions about tens. But there is one 10 that we are going to just light up because of how ten it is.
It
Yeah.
was.
Stick around because you're not going to want to miss which one we think that is. But let's do our event bubbles. What do you say?
I
As
love
we
it.
as we do.
Let's go in Olympic order.
Olympic. Yeah.
Olymp
Olympic Salto order.
Correct.
Not not gymnastics puns. Okay. We're going to the vaulting event. Running as fast as you can at a stationary object. And I want to start with freshman Cam Smith from Ohio State.
Yes.
Okay, Yurchenko 1.5. She took a little step. It was technically so beautiful. It was so gorgeous. And with any freshman that I'm getting to watch from teams that, we're getting to watch and streamed on Big Ten Network and Big Ten Plus and all these other streaming platforms, I feel so excited when I hear that a freshman is in the lineup, number one. And number two, after they execute their gymnastics, and it's like a work of art, and I can't wait to watch them for 3 more years.
Correct. That's how I feel about Cam Smith.
I can't wait to keep watching this. She's so good. Do you have notes?
None. Besides, I'm excited for her to find the landing. She's still playing the step forward, step backward game a bit, which is fine. Again, as a freshman competing at Yurchenko 1.5, but I'm excited about her. And Coach Meredith Polisivic did tell us that she was a little bit of their secret weapon. And so I'm seeing that, and I like that. I'm excited to see the remainder of her freshman year.
While I was watching the Ohio State Minnesota meet, I was having a flashback of both Ohio State and Minnesota at Big Ten Championship last year. They had an unbelievable vault rotation.
Yeah,
So all I'm saying is these little steps, they're going to get figured out when the time is right. And especially an athlete like Cam Smith, when you have technically amazing gymnastics in the pre-flight, on the table, off the table, and to the ground, we're going to see some really amazing vault rotations, I think. And I think those little steps are going to get worked out.
totally. Totally agreed.
Speaking of that meet,
Yes.
Sarah Mara,
Yeah, that was nice.
Sarah Mara from Minnesota, stuck full twisting Yurchenko. She stuck it cold.
Yeah. No ifs, ands, or buts.
No ifs, ands, or buts. It was beautiful. And maybe my favorite part was during the celebration. I will say Rich was having a really hard time getting the attention of athletes, right? Like afterwards they'd like land and they'd be so excited that they'd run forward and then you could see on the broadcast he's like, "Hey, I'm over here. Come give me a high five." No, but at one point in time, like during Samara's vault, it was so hype in there that Rich like lifted her up off the ground and was like, "Holy moly, we're excited. This is hype." It was so cool.
I need to see that from him at Big Tens.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Come on, Rich. You got it.
One more Big Ten vault. I don't know if you saw this one, Cor, but I love Natalie Martin from Maryland. She's one of my favorites, and she actually used to come to Michigan camp when she was younger. And just one of those athletes that you would give her a correction and it was immediately fixed. A coach's dream. And she has really been dialing in the 1.5 this year and absolutely nailed it on was it Friday night at Washington, right? Yeah, it was
Sure.
great. 9925. She stuck one at home a couple weeks ago. It only went 9875, which was just so bizarre to me because her feet are glued. The arm position is great. She does the wrap technique, so it's really the core is really tight. And it was well done. I love to see her receive that score for that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Those are some great Big Ten vaults. Holy moly.
I know.
I have to throw in another vault that really caught my eye this weekend, which was Madison Reidenbach from Denver.
Mm.
She did a super clean Yurchenko 1.5 with sticky feet with 9975. It
Wow.
was it was awesome. I'll admit I probably would have gone 995 on it. There was just like a little like she like landed and then you see her shoulders kind of tilt to the side, right? But that's all I would have like taken, like not taking her flowers away whatsoever. It was gorgeous. It was so beautiful. And so I was really excited to see that. And it was kind of early in their lineup too. So they have some like really good powerhouse vaults after that as well. So Madison from Denver, keep slaying, girl.
Love that. That's a great one.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's go to bars, and you're gonna start this one.
I am. This is what I'm giving Grace McCallum. If you are listening on Spotify or Apple Music, I have a rose in my hand and I am throwing it aggressively at her. Like to the point where she's like, throw it less hard for that perfect 10 bar routine. You guys, it was so good. It was so good. That was the 10 on bars I've seen in a while. It was pristine. The handstands, the connection into the toe hand after the pack salto was like butter, smooth like some good garlic and chive butter, directly into the Van Leeuwen, stuck landing, shoulders even. I'm just like, eat your flowers, sister. It was amazing.
Could not. I did not. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like this has happened to me multiple times this season where I will text you and be like, wait, has Grace been doing that the whole season? Like, or is this a new vault? Is this a new bar routine? Like,
Right.
what's happening? And when I saw this routine, I was at first, I was like, wait a second, did she even do a cast handstand? Then I went back. She only does two. She only does two. Talk about minimizing deductions. But
Right.
then that buttery pack through the toe on to Van, oh my goodness.
Buttery garlic chive pack into the toe hand Van Leeuwen. I mean, come on.
Sprouts Farmers Market Collegiate Quad
Both.
Buttery Chive Collegiate Pack 10.
Yeah, they're going to start selling those in packages, and she should get the NIL money.
You know what I want to start? I want to start that tradition that they do in figure skating, like an Adam Rippon short program. The crowd goes wild, and then everyone like chucks teddy bears down onto the ice. Can you imagine just like after the most gorgeous routine of your life, all of a sudden you just see like Hallmark product just getting thrown down onto the floor?
Maybe that's why Hallmark stores still exist. Because I was in Florida recently and I saw a Hallmark store and I went, do you get business? I would
For
love to see your books.
Figure skating celebrations. That's how they stay in
Okay,
business.
we need to stay on track and I need to put this back because these were my Valentine's flowers and I'm trying to preserve them.
Oh my gosh, they're so beautiful. I honestly thought they were fake.
Nope, they're fully real.
Bryce,
Good boy. He did well.
kudos. Okay, up next, we have Jordan Childs and Frida Esparza back-to-back 9975s in that meet UCLA versus Penn State on Big Ten Network. No notes other than the fact that I am still obsessed with Frida Esparza's Bahardwaj.
That Bahardwaj is sometimes it scares me because I almost feel like she over rotates it and then you get a funky kip. I don't know how she does it. It's so well done every time. It just is beautiful.
Yeah. And the change to the double layout on Jordan Childs' bar dismount, it floats and lands
The distance.
the distance. You know what else I want to talk about with distance? Have you noticed the distance that Maya Hooten gets on her bar dismount?
It's wild. And it's not a flat dismount. It still gets the pop, but the distance is remarkable.
Correct.
Yeah, I when I think bar dismount distance, I think of Maya Hooten too.
Disclaimer, this is a joke. What I'm about to say is a joke. I think we should get bonus points for distance away from the high bar.
If that's the case, then you should get bonus points for distance away from the beam and distance away from the ball.
Speaking of, okay, we'll get to this in a second, but did you see how close Kara Aker was on her dismount this
Yeah,
weekend?
that was scary, but that's some finesse if I've ever seen it in my life.
Correct. And she was like, I suck it. I don't care. I was just
Oh,
basically rubbing the beam on the way down. Don't worry. Okay, back to bars.
we are all over the place.
Okay, but Georgia, we have a George bubble.
Touche, that is an actually decent transition.
I just said George bubble, so I meant Georgia bubble.
Lily Smith bars. The
I
Nakia clone you are.
I mean,
Obviously, the whole routine's beautiful. The lines are excellent. The toe point's stunning. This week in particular, I really noticed the float and the pop on the Maloney. You see so many Maloney's. They can get a little dumpy. People are just trying to grab the high bar. You know, for a while I had a major mental block with Maloney's because I couldn't fathom the physics behind doing it. It didn't make sense to me. And then I'd sit there and think about it and it would become a disaster. I digress. But hers is so good. The pop, the shoulder opening, the way she grabs the bar is so seamless. She barely even works the backswing. It just happens. It's so well done.
I
I
just enjoy watching Lily Smith do gymnastics.
correct.
The end.
Let's handspring to beam.
Spe Speaking of handspring, can we talk about the front handspring 2 foot from Jeffrey Scott?
I never really registered it until you flagged it for me. And then I went back and watched it. It's great. So unique.
So unique. Commentators love to use the word dynamic, so I feel like I should too. So dynamic. Um, but it's a moment that as a gymnastics fan, we watch a lot of gymnastics. When you see a shift, like a change that's not a handspring layout or a front aero back handspring or like a switch leap split jump, like you're like exciting, right? It's like a Victoria Nguyen Anodi series, right? Like it gets you going. And that Jeffrey Scott front handspring 2 foot to the handspring layout series is cool, man.
Yeah, I agree.
It's real cool. And then we have the front walkover to front full dismount from her on that routine.
She's doing it.
Creativity.
Yeah.
Creativity. Okay. Crowns. Crowns go to our leadoff queen, to the crown team, our reigning national champions. Leadoff, Sierra Ballard goes 995.
I have nothing else to say to this besides chef's kiss. She is an aggressive beam worker. She does angry beam without being angry, but I like that. It's her style. Her style is aggressive beam. Her style is I feel like Sierra Ballard's one of those athletes who could run through a brick wall. Like she just has that energy and that passion. I love her in the leadoff position. I've always felt her scoring has not reflected the routine. And this weekend, I couldn't have agreed more with the 995. It was absolutely spot on.
It was beautiful.
It was gorgeous.
And Olivia, if you're looking for a gift to give me at any point in time, I would like for you to screenshot all of Sierra Ballard's meet day tweets, like the meet day morning tweets, because they literally define hype.
Correct.
They are out of this world. They are outrageous. The words she strings together.
Love it.
But I look forward to Fridays because I just know we're gonna get some gold from Sierra Ballard, sorry. Oh, Sierra Brooks.
Miss her.
But Sierra Ballard morning tweets of meet day, please. Assemble in a journal, a t-shirt, maybe like a hat.
Oh, like a flip book.
Yeah. Oh, more, yeah.
Stickers.
Like a personal motivation book that just is like me reading those tweets to myself to like hype up my day. Like I just think life would be better.
I think I can achieve that for you.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Talk about Chef's Kiss. Go for it.
So last year, Brooklyn Roray did her first collegiate beam routine. I believe it was her first collegiate. If not, it was a very early on routine for her, 9975. And then she got hurt. And everyone was absolutely destroyed because it was just we saw the glory. And then of course, things happen. And I've been waiting for that moment again for her. And she goes up this weekend at Ohio State, 995 beam routine. She does one of those front full dismounts off the side of the beam, which is so impressive. I think Aaliyah Arid at Rutgers does one of those too. And it's so impressive to me because, let's discuss distance to beam as well as like crazy. It was well done. She is definitely a Big Ten athlete in contention for that balance beam title at championships in about a month. I'm already starting to think about who are on my like short list, which is not a short list, let me be clear, of people who could win events at Big Tens, but that routine is absolutely excellent.
Minnesota went to balance beam last in that meet this weekend. And Brooklyn's routine was like just it was one of those that was just for me making so much sense as
Right.
to the overall packaged performance that Minnesota put together in this dual meet. And it was gorgeous. It was amazing. Like I even tweeted at one point in time, like Minnesota's throwing down. Like this is incredible. And the gymnastics we were seeing was awesome. It was also a really good picture of the team coming together to throw together a really great meet. They ended up going down with a 197.375. Going down meaning they won, but they put down in the record books a 197.375. Um, Minnesota came to play, and Brooklyn was absolutely a part of achieving that.
I couldn't agree more. I actually think they're one of those teams that is there. I believe they still have a 194 or 5 or something from early in the year that the moment that's replaced will really change things. But since we're talking about this meet now, I actually wanted to mention this. I saw this tweet that Ohio State and Minnesota both wore ribbons in their hair for an athlete at a club gym in Ohio named Emma Vandewater of Hillard, who had emergency surgery to remove a brain tumor.
Hmm.
And I believe the gym that Emma goes to is the same gym that a couple of student athletes at Ohio State go to, one being Tori Vetter. The other one is Carly Rutzel. I believe she's a freshman. And I was reading this article, and it seems that Ohio State mentioned it to Minnesota, and Minnesota immediately wore the ribbons too. And
Oh,
both teams wore ribbons for Emma. And I just thought that that was a lovely coming together moment. Um, that just made me really happy.
that's super
I
cool.
had to share that little nugget.
I love it. I love it. You take this last bubble on balance beam.
I will take the last bubble. Okay, you guys. First of all, I want to mention UNC as a whole on beam. This is a nugget of that, but UNC as a whole on beam, 49.35 team total, highest beam total since Dana Durante has been coaching there, which is
So
incredibly exciting for the program. I've always seen such great stuff from them. Lali Dekanoitsa, there's Julia Noer on that team. I mean, they have such good athletes, but they never crack into where you're going, oh, they're dangerous for the end of season, but I think they're putting it together and I'm liking it. But one of their freshmen, Jojo Velahovic, I believe is how you pronounce it, 995, literally her sixth time competing beam in college, 995. This routine is technically stunning. All the lines are beautiful. Very Lily Smithy, in the lines. The toe point, everything from the fingers to the toes is a brilliant line. There are no built-in deductions, meaning no loose legs, no arms that just don't look tight, and there's no intention around where her arms and her legs are going. Well done.
beautiful.
It's
It's beautiful. I mean, I agree with you. I also just realized while we were talking about them, I'm wearing kind of like a Carolina blue, so
far.
tipping my hat to the Tar Heels. Also, if you have you watched like White Lotus, the new season of White Lotus?
Oh, and I want to tonight, and my boyfriend went to bed. It's 8:07 and he's asleep.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, there's just random mention of UNC. So there's like a Tar Heel thing. Anyways, again, I digress. Wow, we are having these tangents tonight. But I'm excited because I've mentioned this before, I'm hosting the Elevate the Stage meet, and there is like four amazing teams, and it's gonna be an amazing competition because there are some incredible gymnastics happening from UNC this season. Um, and it's going to be an amazing competition between the four teams that are going to be at Elevate. And I cannot wait to see some of these incredible routines in person.
Love.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to floor, our fourth and final event. What if that was my hype man voice?
Welcome to the Big Ten Championship.
I don't even want to repeat it. This is funny. Okay, you take the first floor bubble, please.
Okay, I was watching gymnastics on Friday night, and of course, because it's Valentine's Day, and that's what I'm doing. Georgia's Nyla Aquino's floor. You guys, this routine is the most fun. She knows music. You know that she can hear music, and she probably received the choreography and then tweaked it herself. You can just tell it feels very her. It is great. The tumbling is sky high. The performance quality is excellent. Again, another freshman who is so talented that we're going to get another 3 years of.
So cool. Such a fun routine to watch.
Great.
And she crushed it. I was so happy. So excited for her. Okay. A couple of floor bubbles I'm gonna run through because there's really no notes on them, if we are being honest. Um, Lily Hudson got a 10 on floor this weekend. And we just want to emphasize the stuck 2.5. I don't remember a ton of 2.5s that I've seen in my life that are stuck the way that Lily Hudson stuck that 2.5. Do you have any memorable ones?
No, except now she's got to do it like that every single time.
I know, right? Lily, we believe in you. We believe in you.
Godspeed, sister.
Mika Webster Longen from UCLA was in the lineup on floor, which was super exciting. What a lineup to have to break into, if you know what I'm saying. Like to have a date, like to have a routine in that lineup, you're like literally slay. And now she's doing 3 events for the Bruins with the addition of four. She is so cute. She's so great.
Truly deep. You look at her and she's a very small woman. She's a freshman, so she has freshman baby face. But I've never met a more well-spoken, kind person
Yeah,
in my life than when I met her at the UCLA versus Michigan State meet. I was blown away
yeah,
by how well-spoken and kind, and every time I looked over, she was either talking to a teammate to hype them up, or she was cheering for someone, or she just her entire vibe is kindness.
Yeah.
I was mind blown. I was like, oh, you're so sweet.
I agree with that so much. Okay, next was Iowa State's Haley Harden stuck double pike in the most gorgeous position. Haley Harden, we talked about her on an earlier episode, but we are Haley Harden stands here from Iowa State. Like, sound that tornado alarm. We are here for Haley.
That double pike too, it looks like, I wonder if she ever dove,
Hmm.
maybe, or dabbled with diving, because the position in the double pike is, I mean, her nose is practically touching her legs.
Right.
It's to die for. It's beautiful.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay, our next floor bubble came from the Illinois versus Iowa meet that happened. I want to just bring some attention to a debut floor routine in the Illinois floor lineup. Miss Marley Estevez, a native of gold medal gymnastics in Chandler, Arizona, Amanda Borden's gym. Gotten to work with her over the years. Olivia and I both get to work those camps every once in a while. Um, she debuted on floor with a 9925. It was so cool, and I was just like so proud and happy for Marley. But the cherry on top was we mounted with a front double full, beautiful, and then we did a Rudy connect direct connection to a back tuck.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
It was so unexpected, and one of those things that like you see Rudy is getting connected to straight jumps or to straddle jumps or to whatever the case may be, but then just to connect it to a back tuck was so unique and it was just a big sleigh. So I just needed to like shout it out.
We see a lot of Rudy layout step outs, but I like the back tuck angle. I like that.
It was really cool. It was really cool. Same meet. Iowa finished on floor, and they had a 5 up, 5 count situation with a little bit of illness going around on their team. And their last two routines were Hannah Castillo and Emily Erb. And Hannah Castillo went 995, and Emily Erb threw down a 9975.
Amazing. I think
I
Emily
did
Earth, I
that.
saw her, she's like one of five in Iowa history to receive a 9.975 on floor. And I think I saw like I think like Lauren Guerin and Q were commenting on her post being like, welcome to the club. I was like, ah, my heart.
That's so cool. I love that. Yeah, it was a program record and it's just it's cool to see that throw down and I remember a few years ago, I think it was 2023 regionals. Emily had not done a single routine the entire season, and they threw her in at regionals, and she did her first routine, and she scored pretty well, if I remember correctly. But it's just cool to see, them rising up. She's, anchoring that floor lineup yes this weekend and it was cool. So kudos to that floor lineup. And our last
Karina Munoz went 9925 career high too. So they had quite a lineup.
gosh, yeah, these 99 plus floor lineups, like they're slaying.
I
They
know.
are they are slaying. And our last floor bubble of the day was JJ Coleman from Ohio State on floor. She went 99 and we got that Gracie Kramer vibe in that choreo.
It's eerie, it's spooky. She gets into the character. The tumbling's great. I'm a big fan of hers. And her vault is beautiful too. She does a 1.5 and it's excellent. So I like JJ Coleman is a favorite of mine this year.
I love it. I love it. Those were some good event bubbles this week. Like, those were good.
I'm
Okay,
feeling bubbly though. Let's bubble vibe it.
let's bubble vibe it. You take the first one.
So this is everyone's bubbly vibe. So I'm just gonna share it on behalf of all of us. Is Frida Esparza whipping out the electric guitar to perform the national anthem at their Pride meet on, was that Friday? Yeah, Friday. What a multi-talented athlete, human person. Just so incredible that she felt comfortable and ready and wanted to perform that in front of a lot of people. And then to go and do a 9975 bar routine is just so awesome. That was just such a cool moment.
I talked to head coach Janelle McDonald on Saturday after the meet, and I just was just like, how cool for you to be able to give Frida that opportunity. And she actually said to me that back in the fall, Frida specifically asked if she could play the national anthem on the electric guitar at the Pride meet this season. And so then Janelle very quickly said yes and was like, that'd be the best thing ever. Are you kidding me? And then Frida had like a little panic moment where she was like, oh my gosh, she said yes. Now I actually have to like perfect it and like make it amazing. So I think it's just so cool. It's one thing to like take on a hobby while you're training gymnastics and a full-time student and at UCLA, but it's another. I think there's something really special about this idea that she specifically wanted to do it at the Pride meet. And there's something in there that you're watching dots get connected of just the importance of standing up for something bigger than yourself. And, we've seen UCLA standing up for the fires in LA and now with Pride, and they're throwing down some great gymnastics. So there might be something to be said for this altrusive altruistic mentality that UCLA is taking to some amazing gymnastics, which is cool.
Love it.
I actually had written down on our bubbly vibes this week was Minnesota's 197.375 and how they came to play. So like I just want to like reemphasize like double exclamation point that one. So
Get my flower again.
yeah, probably. Figure skating flowers for Minnesota's performance. Yes, yes. And then we typically will take on a men's gymnastics bubble this week, or each week. We kind of have something. We've talked about just different things. We talked about attendance at OU. We've talked about Michigan gymnasts. We've talked about some really great stuff. But this week, we want to talk about OU men's gymnast Fuzzy Benis is returning early from a thumb surgery. He started vaulting on Tuesday, and this week he stuck a Souk 2.5 in their meet.
It was so good. I saw the vault and I was like, that was stunning. And then I read the tweet and was like, oh my God, he just started vaulting again. That's some muscle memory right there.
Right. Not to mention, like, your hands are quite important when it comes to vault. So, kudos,
Yeah, amazing.
kudos. And our last bubbly vibe is giving some flowers to head coach of the University of Denver, Melissa Kutcher Reinhardt. She has secured 500 career wins in her time at the University of Denver. So, congratulations, Melissa. Super cool, super exciting. I love seeing little statistics like that come out. I think it's great. I think in many other sports we have there's cool stats like number of points or number of wins or whatever the case may be. And so I think it's cool to get to see some of those in our sport as well.
I agree.
All right, Liv. So let's take some fan questions. So we had some fan questions come in, and some of them, kind of follow some of the stuff that we've talked about tonight, but let's take them a little on the quicker side. The first fan question was, there's been an onslaught of tens. Which were tens and which weren't?
Oh, it's a
I mean,
loaded.
there has been a good number of tens now. So
There has.
if you had asked us a couple weeks ago, we could have like identified of the three that had happened, we could have
Right.
told you that Helen Who deserves all the tens. But yeah, the question is which were tens and which weren't?
Well, definitely we talked about Grace McCallum's bars was absolutely positively perfection. I completely agree with that score. I don't want to say that scores weren't tens because this is a subjective sport, which is challenging, and scores were given. And so you can't take them back. You can't say, "Ooh, whoopsie," like get them back. I will say that Lily Smith floor routine was spectacular. That 2.5 to the stick was lovely. The first pass was great. Went back and rewatched her jumps were great as well. So I will definitely stand behind that one. It is interesting though this year that we have not seen a vault 10 yet.
Yeah.
We've flirted with a couple 9.975s.
Fine.
And so I'm intrigued and excited to see which athlete gives us our first vault 10 of the year.
Yeah,
Because I do
honestly.
think there's some really, really, I think if Macy McGowan from UCLA sticks that vault, it's game over. All the deduction is on her landing, and she's has so much power that if she can just like tighten it up, it will just be to die. Same with Mika Webster Longham. That vault is technically beautiful. So I am excited to see who will be our first vault 10.
I mean, I'm shocked that we haven't seen it yet, right? We have like the building lineup of Michigan State's vault lineup, like crazy, right? We have Haley Bryant back on vault, like we
Kaylin
have
Chu,
Caitlin Chio. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's just some amazing vaults that are happening. Um, I would go without saying like Oklahoma can throw down a 10-0 vault like anytime. I remember Jocelyn Moore from Missouri went 9975 in their meet against OU. Like there has been some amazing vaults that have been happening. It's just a matter of time, like you said. But and I will say I kind of joked about it earlier. If I had to answer this question, like I think Helen Hu being the first 10, like that, as I have continued this conversation with coaches and people in the gymnastics community this year on this concept of tens, right? We had Liv Dunn's tweet this season, like all these sort of things. The number one thing that everyone agrees on was that Helen Hu got a 10.0 in that beam routine.
yeah,
So in terms of like what should be and what shouldn't be, I'm gonna be the marketing guy on this one, but I'm also gonna be a great gymnastics fan and just say that like Helen and Grace McCallum, period.
agreed.
Our
Thank
next question is also about tens, and I am curious to hear your thoughts. I definitely have a thought, but should Jade Carey have a 10 by now? And the fact that she's ranked first on beam and all around was just another note that this fan sent in. So, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, certainly, Jade has received tens before because her gymnastics is so clean. When she's on, it's great, precise. There is truly no deduction when she's on. It is funny, should she have a 10 this season? I've seen some of her routines that I thought absolutely, but what's more interesting about that is even though she doesn't have a 10, still being ranked number one on beam in the all around means that her 995 plus scores, 99 to 99, 99 to 10 scores have been so consistent and so good that even though she hasn't received one this year, she is the most consistently high scored athlete on beam and in the all around. So I think it's just time will tell at this point for when, but I do think that Jade does such great gymnastics that if she's on and it's perfect in that panel of judges' eyes, I see no issue with it.
Yeah, I was watching the quad box stream from Denver this weekend when Oregon State was at Denver. And I'll admit, the beam routine that she threw down, I had many moments in her routine where I was like, no deduction, no deduction, no deduction. Even her switch leap split jump, I felt like is getting to the point of being oversplit and gorgeous and beautiful. And she just looks, I had this moment I remember thinking, it looks like she's just doing gymnastics on the floor, but she's on 4 inches. So reminder, balance beam is hard and it's not very big. So I'll go on record saying that I felt like that beam routine this weekend could have probably deserved a 10. I only watched it once, but that was my perspective. So should she have some? Probably, but she doesn't yet. But she's still slaying. So you go, Jade.
True.
Okay. These this next question is, are you planning any episodes similar to Michigan State versus UCLA preview like we did when we were in Los Angeles together?
Oh my gosh, people didn't want to smack us after that.
I
Maybe
think we
they
need I think
did.
we need a face plant on the Jan Steps in Los Angeles another time for a good intro. But Liv, you want to take that one? Are we planning any more?
We definitely are. It's exciting. Corey and I will both be at the Big Ten Championship in Ann Arbor. So I get to show Corey my college town now, which I'm very, very excited about. So we will most certainly do a Big Ten's preview for all of you while we're on the ground in Ann Arbor, and excited to just get some behind the scenes content, show you kind of what it's like to do what we both do at a championship, which I think will be really fun. And I've actually never seen Chrysler on podium. So this is going to be really cool for me to go back to where I competed and the place that gave me where I am now to see a championship there. So I'm very excited. But to answer your question, yes, we will be doing content like that again, which was really fun.
Yeah, we have all sorts of ideas that we're already brewing up for when we get to be together for the Big Ten Championship. Quite honestly, we're a little overwhelmed with how much we want to do for all of you because actually that Michigan State versus UCLA meet preview did really well in terms of numbers and analytics. And we're not really here to track analytics. We're just here to provide content and a behind the scenes look at some cool things that with people we have access to for all of you listening. So we know that you guys love that preview. And so who knows? Maybe we could get a little, you can walk me around Ann Arbor and whether it's all the Dunkin' Donuts in the town or whether, just walk me around campus like I did at UCLA so that we
Bring
can.
me a jacket.
Oh my gosh. Remember last year, Big Tens, it was freezing cold and snowing.
That'll be the same thing. Pack
Yeah,
your
yeah. Okay, one more question came in, and the question is, it's about Big Fours. So for those of you who don't know, Big Fours is the competition at the end of the regular season dual meet format for the Big Ten Conference. They put together a lineup of meets in dual meet form, and then they compete with three other teams in three locations, a total of four teams in three locations, to get a win-loss record against as many teams as they can. And if I'm remembering correctly, basically in the Big Ten, they will see a matchup between 10 of the 12 teams that are in the conference. And so Big Fours is on one weekend in three locations. There is three quad meets happening. So that's what Big Fours is. The question is, will Big Fours follow championship format with two routines at a time? So I think this question is about like the streaming capabilities in terms of how they'll broadcast them. And one thing to note on this is that in addition to the information I already provided about Big Fours, these all happen on university campuses. So there are three host institutions that will also be participating in the meet, and then they'll be streamed on the network. It's on Big Ten Network, right, Olivia?
yes,
Yeah.
all three are.
So, so I mean, I would love to hear your answer on that, but because I don't know if they're going to follow the championship format, which is, the whole two routines at a time thing. But if I remember correctly from Big Ten's last year, when you and Dean commentated the championship for both sessions of the championship, the Big Ten Network aired every single routine that was there, and they did not follow the two routines at a time championship format. Is that right?
That's correct. I've done Big Tens now 4 times, and I'm 100% certain that last year, 100% of routines were shown on the network, and that is with everything going at once. We have an incredible team that really knows how to produce a show, and it's well done. I think we played around with some side by side, some split screen as well last year. So we really did the most with it. And I'm pretty sure in 2023, 96% of all routines were shown on the network. So we improved last year over that. So I don't know the answer to that question, but what I can tell you is that every routine will be on the air. They've done such a great job of that, and we've created an excellent format for it. And so I have no doubt in my mind that we will get as much coverage out there as possible.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all. I mean, at the end of the day, like making sure routines are seen is like the number one priority. And if, the network has a way to do it, stick to it. You
Stick
know,
to your secret sauce.
if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I did say once on a broadcast, if it ain't broke, don't break it. and my family will never let me live that one down. So in case anyone wants a good laugh. Yeah.
That is
My
funny.
mom texted me and said, "Great job today, sweetie. However, you know the saying isn't if it ain't broke, don't break it, right?" I was like, "Thanks, mom."
We love those moments. It's like, you did so good. You really gave it your all. But,
But yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Um, that's all we got.
That was
Yeah,
jam-packed.
that's a jam-packed episode. I mean, episode 8, it's hard. I what I'm feeling with the on the floor living for lit wow.
Wow.
Fricka rewind. What I'm feeling with the On the Floor with Liv and Cor podcast is that the analogy of as season builds, like you have more content and more routines and more lineup changes and more storylines and all of these sort of things. Like I'm feeling like that's how it feels like put these episodes together is, you know, some of the things that we've shared in the last however long we've been on here, 50 minutes. Um, some of the things that we've shared with you are absolutely written down in a note that we are preparing over the course of the weekend. But some of the things that we just shared with you are off the cuff because we're gymnastics nerds who like are passionate about bringing attention and energy to student athletes who are absolutely crushing it and absolutely slaying the game when it comes to the sport of gymnastics and amazing stuff that's happening in our sport. So we hope that you guys feel that passion with us because we just are human beings who spend many a day on the couch or walking through life watching, the network on our phones to make sure that we can stay up to date on what's happening in the world of gymnastics. And we've heard from many of you that you guys are enjoying the content that we're providing here. So it's been so fun for us, but let me tell you, some of this is just off the cuff passion from us and not prepared.
Corey, we're not walking through life. We're dancing through life down at the Ozdust.
You know what? What a throwback to episode 1 when we were just talking about the
Yeah.
bubbles descending as Glinda.
There are so many moments in this podcast that we've held space for Wicked.
If only I could just grab your hand like a gentle
Your
caress.
finger.
Hmm. With
Okay.
that, with that, I want to just, re-emphasize one last point on this episode that I believe we should throw more teddy bears onto the floor at the end of competitions to keep Hallmark in business. Yes. And we should make sure more of the pink roses that Olivia's boyfriend gave her for Valentine's Day are sorry, if you're listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, Olivia is putting the stem of her roses through her teeth, and all it's reminding me of is Grace McCallum doing only two cast handstands and a beautiful, beautiful pack to toe on to Van Leeuwen.
Garlic, chive, butter.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. This has been On the Floor with Liv and Cor. I'm Cor, that's Liv, and we will see you next week. Bye.